Hey everybody, this show is sponsored by shopveteran.ca and the Canadian Legacy Project. Are you a veteran who owns a business? If so, register your business for free on shopveteran.ca. Or, if you would like to support veteran-owned businesses, make shopveteran.ca your first stop shop.
We'll resume for our second panel. I wanted to say thanks to our witnesses who are here in person and in video conference. We have as individual Mrs. Amanda Hatcher, here in person, retired Corporal Meincke. He's the host, Operation Tango Romeo Trauma Recovery Podcast for military veterans, first responders, and their families. We will now invite Mr. Meincke, retired corporal, for 5 minutes, please.
Thank you very much. The frustrating part about being here today for me is that I have solutions. I am completely confident that if I had a magic wand and could implement what I need to implement, we could drastically reduce veteran suicide. We could cut it in half today. But I have the knowledge. What I don't have is the authority. You have the authority here in this room today. All you got to do is listen with an open mind and an open heart. I'll do my best to make a case for this. My name is Meincke. I first reached out to VAC, sorry for the acronyms, Veterans Affairs Canada, for help in 2017. I suffered for 23 years without help or diagnosis. In 2019, I started my trauma recovery podcast, and in an attempt to help as many veterans and first responders as possible, my mission was really simple: save lives and relieve pain by making help for PTS injuries easily accessible. I would hope that VAC has the exact same mission. Being in the system had me quickly realize that there must be a better way to recover from a PTS injury. I'm now in my 7th year of researching healing modalities from around the world. My show is listened to in 98 countries. And I've been working to find out what works and what doesn't. The good news is that I have found numerous healing modalities with significant efficacy. The bad news is that none of the most effective therapies are available directly through Veterans Affairs Canada. My podcast showcases a comprehensive list of healing modalities. As far as I know, there's no similar list that can be found on the VAC website. So I invite Veterans Affairs Canada to share my show on their site, or use it for reference, or simply call me, pick up the phone, and let me help them to be aware of the effective resources that are available right now. Numerous Conservative members of Parliament have joined me on my show to discuss veterans issues, and some of them even consult me on these issues. Unfortunately, I have not yet had a response from the numerous invitations that I've put out to other members of other parties, which is odd because I'm not partisan. I don't care what party anybody's with. So my door remains open to members of Parliament from all parties. If they would like my help in reforming Veterans Affairs, just ask. I'm here. I only care about helping the veteran community. That's all. A PTSI, post-traumatic stress injury, is not a weakness, nor is it a choice. And nobody is immune from being injured by it. Whether the injury is a PTSI, traumatic brain injury, CTE, concussion, make it simple. It's brain damage. That's the bottom line. It's all brain damage. The symptoms of any of these injuries are nearly identical, which is a problem with diagnosis, because the symptoms are just about the same in all of them, including mefloquine poisoning, and can be completely debilitating. I lost my first marriage, my business collapsed, I went bankrupt, my house was foreclosed on, all because of undiagnosed, untreated post-traumatic stress injury. Living with intrusive Pardon me. Living with intrusive, relentless, suicidal thoughts is exhausting. Being jolted out of my sleep by hyper-intense nightmares 2 to 3 times a night, devastating. The help offered by Veterans Affairs did not improve my condition. Instead, it made it so much worse. When the thoughts of suicide became more and more dominating, I told my OSI, that's the Operational Stress Injury Clinic, that's what we're provided with, that my assigned therapist, I told her, I'm concerned. I was worried that I was getting closer and closer to the proverbial cliff. And I was concerned that it wouldn't take much for me to be pushed off of that cliff. I told her. I told her that I had a plan, and that if I were to end my life, it would be by opening my wrists. Nice way to go. Her advice to me was this: hide the knife that you imagine you would use, and if you haven't done it yet, you probably won't. This is an example of sanctuary trauma. The one person who I was turning to for help, that I was vulnerable with, that I had the courage to tell her where I was at and what was happening to me, the one person did not catch me when I was falling. She failed the trust test, and I never returned to that clinic. After 3 months after that conversation, I attempted suicide. And it was nothing short of a miracle that I survived it. After feeling betrayed by the OSI clinic, I took responsibility for my own healing. And as a result, I've made a great deal of progress, I'm glad to say. Both the American Veterans Affairs and the Canadian OSI clinics, and this is something you probably don't know, so please write this down. They claim their success rate, and this is published in the American VA, a success rate of 12 to 16%. To be clear, this means that only 16% of Canadian veterans who seek help through Veterans Affairs actually get it, which leaves 84 to 88% of veterans who are seeking help do not receive it. Now, here's a very short list that hopefully you ask me questions about. Stellate ganglion block. Stellate ganglion block is very tough to access, but it is legal in Canada. That's huge. Psychedelics have been talked about in this room. There's both legal and illegal psychedelics. The legal ones is ketamine. It's a great place to start. Ibogaine. It is now legal in Texas, and it's starting to spread across the states, and it is a game changer. Please ask me about these modalities and more. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meincke. We will start our rounds with 6 minutes for Mr. Richards.
First of all, thank you to all of you for being here. Thank you, to our veterans for your service to our country. In particular, thanks to Mark and Amanda for your courage in sharing your personal stories with us to help make sure that others don't have to go through what you've gone through. And also to our other witnesses, thank you for what you do to help to serve our veteran community. I'm going to start with you, Mark. You mentioned in your podcast, which you've been doing for a number of years now, focused on trauma recovery. So the question I have for you is, what would you say is the biggest barrier to trauma recovery amongst veterans in Canada?
Probably stigma, which is a lot better today than it was 5 years ago. Stigma and access. So Veterans Affairs Canada has some decent programs and benefits, but try to get to them. It is a gauntlet. So this is why I consider it predatory. It's like horrible on purpose. One of the symptoms of a post-traumatic stress injury, and I'm hoping that we can somehow legally change the name of PTSD to PTSI. It's actually a big deal because it is a neurological injury. You can see it in a brain scan. But Veterans Affairs Canada makes you jump through flaming hoops of fire and dance on a meat grinder before you get the programs. Like the benefits that I received, what the 5 years it took me to get them, holy smokes. Most people, because they hear the stories, they don't even try because they're instantly overwhelmed. And that's a very, very, very common symptom because emotional regulation is the overall issue with a stress injury because your neurology is fried. You're on 10 all the time because you've just had too many fight or flights, so the throttle gets stuck on full. So you're always on, if you have a problem, kill it mode. And that's no way to live. But when you're already at 8 or 9 out of 10 for anxiety, and then here's 47 steps and 500 questions to answer, you just say no before you even start. So that's why we use service officers. Without the service officers, Blake, I wouldn't have benefits, and almost nobody would have benefits without service officers.
I hear that kind of story way too often. It's either a service officer or a fellow veteran that happens to tell them how to find some way to navigate through the system from their own terrible experiences. We had, you were in the room. I saw you in the room during the previous panel here. In the Australian example, they mentioned the idea of the fact that they have some of those services available, the mental health services and other things, on a non-liability basis. Basically, what they're saying is that they're not requiring that there be all these hoops to be jumped through to prove that it's related to service. They're just there to help the veteran. If we were to adopt a model like that, would that make a big difference?
Any bureaucratic barriers that you can get rid of will save lives. Okay. Just to get into my VAC account.
Can I?
Sorry, I'm sorry. Apologies.
I don't know how much time I have. Okay, so I'd like to move to a different topic because I've only got 2 minutes before I'll get cut off here. But I think you've given us a pretty good indication there. I know that you've talked to veterans. In fact, I know you were also one of the ones that helped Christine Gauthier, who was one of the veterans who's been acknowledged as having been offered medical assistance in dying and had it pushed on her. I know you've spoken to others who, I've heard it on your show. How many veterans are you aware of who've had MAID pushed on them by Veterans Affairs? And how many caseworkers are involved in that?
So thank you so much for asking that. Last week, the week before, Honorable Mr. Casey made a statement in reply to the veterans that there was only one caseworker. He was quite adamant about it, but I hopefully can offer some information that shows that that can't possibly be true. So David Baltzer is the most recent one that came forward on my show. He was offered in December 23rd of 2019. His veteran service officer was male. Now, when I was here the first time, that veteran service officer, who I can give you the first name if I'm allowed to do that, female. So at a bare minimum here, we have 2 different veteran service officers. Now, here's my logic about how there was 5 veteran service officers that little old me with no resources was able to find, okay?
Sorry, yeah, and you use the term service officer. Are you talking a case manager, case?
God only knows. Okay. What, they can call themselves whatever they want.
Yeah.
I'm using it as a generic term.
Okay, just wanted to clarify that.
David Baltzer is the most recent. Veteran number 1 never used his name, but he did sue the government, won the lawsuit, and signed an NDA. The lawyers talked to me directly, said it was a life-changing amount of money that he received. But his service officer was female, and she was in BC. Now, one of my episodes, I called Veterans Affairs Canada, and I recorded the call, and I published it that anybody can listen to, okay? And all the same questions that were asked of Minister Macaulay at the time, I asked this veteran service officer. Completely different. The answers at this committee were completely different.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm so sorry. I have to interrupt you. We have 5 minutes. There'll be another questions to you on that side of the house, I'm sure. Thank you very much, sir.
I've got a question. I guess that would be both for you and for Mark. What recommendations would you make in terms of how Veterans Affairs should improve that experience that, in your case, as a as a widow, in Mark, in your case, as a veteran, how could Veterans Affairs improve that experience so that you're not having to jump through all those hoops? Whoever would like to go first is...
Mr. Meincke, 30 seconds just to answer Mr. Richards' questions, please.
It's a tough question. Everybody that I know that's been in the system goes through caseworkers or service officers or whatever you're going to call them like crazy. I think I went through 5 in 2 years. So I don't know what the national average is for employee retention, but I'm pretty sure at Veterans Affairs they're below that national average. So I think that's where you got to start. Find out why is it such a toxic work environment that nobody wants to work there for more than 3 months. Figure that out. Get some HR professionals, something. Figure out why do they hate working there, and what training is required to get them to do their job better, to empower them to be able to deal with us better. Because we're not easy to deal with when we're hot. You know, we're a lot. We're a handful. And for them to not take that personally requires training. And all the hoops is what makes us hot in the first place. So being able to figure that out, the proper training, and figure out why in the world it's such a horrible workplace that causes that staff turnover.
Thank you very much, Mr. Meincke.